Thank you for joining us for the New Hope State of the City. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media. Honored to be part of this update again this year, and we have some very special guests with us. Mayor John Elder joining us. Welcome.
Thank you.
City Manager Reece Bertholf, welcome as well.
Thank you, Dave.
And the mayor, again, no stranger to this opportunity, but first time here in this chair. So again, welcome. We're excited to hear what is up in the city of New Hope and what's to look forward to. Let's begin with the general overview. I know you both have some thoughts on that. Mayor, let's begin with you.
Things are going beautifully in the city. We have the three things that are necessary. We have an incredible citizenry. We have great businesses. We have a great makeup within the community. We have incredibly dedicated and hardworking staff, and we have an engaged city council. And we continue to look forward to the future to see what we can do better, how we can improve, how we can be a best service, and we want to keep New Hope a great place to live, work, and play.
We're going to touch on a lot of those items in the upcoming half hour here. One of the things to look at the state of the city, Reece, is looking at the financial end of things, and you have an auditor to help in that process. Give us a little bit of an audit overview.
That's right, Dave. We'll get right into the numbers. And the city had a wonderful audit for 2024. Total general fund expenses did exceed the budgeted amount by $321,130, but I think the citizens will be happy to know that was as mostly a result of our work to mitigate emerald ash borer. And so we've done a lot of work, and we'll get more into that later. But on the other hand, we did exceed revenues as projected by almost $1.5 million, and that was largely due to an increase in business activity through building permits. We did get some one-time public safety aid, and we saw a rising interest rate on our investments, as a lot of other folks did in our community. So we had a really good financial year. The city maintains a 2A, large A rating with Standard & Poor's, and for our size city, that's a phenomenal credit rating. So we're very proud of that, and we work hard day in, day out to make sure that we have solid finances in the city of New Hope.
And those finances then lead into the next year's budget, and give us a little look at the budget for 2025.
That's right. We're living it right now. We work almost 9 months out of the year as a staff and council and a citizenry to make sure that we have a solid budget leading into our next financial year. We have specific funds that fund long-term projects in the city of New Hope. Each one of those were increased year over year by 5% to make sure that we can stay ahead of inflation. Those funds take care of our fire department, our aquatic park, and our city hall. We also have street and park infrastructure funds that are raised year over year on a 5% annual basis to make sure that we can continue to provide the quality infrastructure to the public in the city of New Hope.
One thing in 2024 that everyone was aware of is the election, and it sounds like residents in New Hope were very aware of the election. Give us some of the numbers from last year's election, Reece.
My favorite number of the election is always voter turnout, and what a phenomenal turnout in New Hope to have 82% of our eligible voters show up to vote. It's just a testament to the involvement of our community when it comes to caring for our elected officials.
And Mayor, it takes a few staff people to put on an election, so city clerk and that staff was just amazing.
Yeah, it's the city clerks who then oversee all of the election sites, all the election judges, all the results, making sure things are running smoothly. We had the two city clerks on at that time, Val Leone and Andrea Finney, and the amount of hours and time they put into that was staggering. And our elections went off without a hitch, and we are so proud of the work that they do and the service. There was obviously with pre-election voting, they were exceptionally busy at City Hall, supported by additional city staff. Everyone stepped up. We knew it was going to be big. Turnout in New Hope is always very high, and Reece hit the number of 82. That's remarkable. There are many cities in our area that aren't even getting close to that. So great work by our teams.
So there's some of the general items as we look at the state of the city. Let's go department by department now, and let's begin with redevelopment and community development. And one of the major areas we hear about a lot is scattered site housing. Again, remind us what that is and the work that's been done.
Scattered site housing is where cities will buy dilapidated homes. They then will oftentimes use those homes for police, fire, and SWAT training. And then when they get finished with that, they will raise the home, prepare the lot, and we sell the lots to developers. Developers provide us with a housing plan, what they're willing to pay for the lot, and what they expect the home that they build to sell for. And so it is an incredible way for us to control redevelopment. And when these new homes are going up, we are seeing that other homes in the neighborhood are taking more pride in their neighborhood, and they're doing things to improve at least the exterior of their home. Some cities that don't engage in a scattered site housing program run susceptible to these homes being purchased by people that are paying absolute minimal dollars for them, and they're getting flipped and they're turning into rentals. And whereas rental property certainly can be beneficial to the city and helpful, what we're doing is we're having very high quality products put onto the market. It provides a step-up housing for the community. People oftentimes want to stay where they're currently living or stay in that general area. We're now providing an option for people that may have starter homes to have a step-up housing, and then their starter home becomes available for a new family that needs a starter home, that may be renting or whatever. And so it's been a great way for us to help control housing stock, as well as to take care of some blighted properties. And it's been extremely successful in us getting far more money put onto the tax rolls. You have the starter home that's dilapidated, you're looking at what they're paying in taxes, and now all of a sudden you're seeing some of these homes. We have one that's going to be on the market for $640,000. The tax money you're bringing in from that is greatly higher than what the starter home was bringing in. So it's been a great property. There are costs to the city. We have to be honest about that. But a lot of that money is coming from community block grant dollars that we get from the county.
Well, let's talk about some of those numbers, Reece. So give us the numbers behind this work in scattered site.
Perfect, Dave. If you look at the timeline of the scattered site program, 2024 was a particularly vibrant year. We saw the city acquire 5 different properties and sell 6, because we had one on the rolls from the year prior, and that generated a total sales in the city of, once the projects were done, of nearly $2.8 million. And we saw that translate into the assessor rolls for taxes of an increase of $1.996 million in taxable value just in a single year. And this is a quality program. Our staff works extremely hard to make sure that the product that comes out of it is top-notch and is desirable, and we're seeing that day in and day out.
Another part of the daily work in redevelopment and community development is inspections and planning. Give us a brief overview of some of their work this past year.
Like I said in our budget, the revenues from building permits was up, and the way we see that is how many permits we let. We had 1,178 building permits issued last year, and when you put in the other types of permits that the department works on, that totaled 2,883 permits for the year. Our inspectors looked at 383 rental units, and they completed 1,506 compliance inspections. And oftentimes when we're interacting with our community to make sure that our neighborhoods are kept in top-notch shape, this is where the rubber meets the road. And we had 994 administrative citations for code violations that were seen through to completion in the year.
A lot of work in that area, a lot of work as well in public works. Let's go to streets and infrastructure. Mayor, tell us about the importance of this area for the city.
Absolutely. New Hope has been known for the quality of their streets, and we'll get into the 10-year maintenance program in a bit. But it starts out with our public works shop. And in 2024, we did an expansion onto our public works facility that was phased out over multiple years. And we were able to do the $6.7 million expansion without bonding. And that was a promise that was made by the City Council that we would do it without bonding. Very important. We started in 1979 with 25 employees and over 200 pieces of equipment. Now we have separate structures for soil. When we have a water main break in the middle of the winter, we need warm soil, sand that we can get to so that we can get that water main break fixed. There's just, the need was there. We were able to do it without going out seeking money, and it was planned for over several years and was successfully paid for.
Many faces to that project, as residents heard about throughout the past couple years. Let's talk infrastructure. Tell us about the project last year, the projects last year, and what's coming up, Reece.
Sure, Dave. Every year the city endeavors to maintain its streets and improve them. Last year in 2024, the city did 3.01 miles of either reclaim and repave, or we did some complete reconstruction of the streets. That project covered areas in J.C. Park and the Pennsylvania Avenue. We did some work just south of the intersection of Oregon Avenue. A smaller section near 62nd Avenue between Utah and Winnetka Avenues was also included. This does touch some of our state aid streets too, so we do get some revenue back in from the state in order to do this work. So that partnership is vital to maintaining the streets in New Hope. We also had another partnership that was wonderful last year down on Louisiana. We worked with the city of Crystal, and we contributed financially to the reconstruction work that was done on Louisiana Avenue. I'll just finish with, in 2024 we did 3.01 miles of streets. In 2025, looking forward, we're looking to do 3.02. So it's kind of a theme there that we work on about 3 miles of street a year. There is a 10-year pavement management plan that delineates the work. It scores the quality of our streets in the city. When they started that plan nearly a decade ago, almost 30% of the streets needed some significant work. And we're not going to announce it as zero yet, but we're getting very, very close to having touched the most severely needed work needed to be done. We've almost got that done. So since they started their pavement management plan, we've touched almost 70% of the streets. We are responsible for about 65 miles of streets, and we're right at about 45 miles of improvements.
Very good. We'll talk about 25 in just a second here, but we want to stay on 24 for a second and talk about a bridge that was very important to the city, that we have a new one now. Mayor?
Yes. The MnDOT replaced the bridge over 169 at 36th Avenue. And we have businesses on the New Hope side that were really, really concerned about that. And the job that our public works did, along with MnDOT, keeping them updated so they could get marketing out, so they could get the information out to their customers to try to minimize the amount of confusion and frustration people would feel and still being able to get to their businesses. There was a pedestrian bridge that was put up a few years prior at 36th, and I was really happy to see that they did not take that down or make modifications to that. It's a perfectly good bridge. So they did get that bridge replaced. It's being used daily, and it provides a great conduit from Plymouth into New Hope. In 2025, there's still a need to get that bridge painted, and so they're doing some final work on it this year, but we're happy to have that done.
And while the streets and the roads may get the headlines in Public Works, they also do a lot of work to the water in the city. Tell us about Meadow Lake, Reece, and what happened there.
Sure, Dave. We do. You know, a lot of the functions of the city departments are integrated across the department lines to make sure that everybody benefits from the work of one department. In stormwater, we recently worked very diligently as a part of our expansion project to install a brine system. And that brine system is for use when icy weather and in order to keep the roads clear after a snow event. It lessens the amount of salt that needs to be applied to the streets, and the citizens may notice that out there in the white streaked lines in advance of an approaching storm. The reason I bring that up is that that lessens the amount of salt that will enter the stormwater system.
Sure.
And you'll see that when we worked on Meadow Lake, in order to improve the water quality, release of phosphorus from the degrading bottom structure is one of the issues that creates water quality problems. So this project was an alum treatment that was supposed to lessen the amount of phosphorus that's being released. The monitoring of that has shown that that was a successful event. And when I say the next thing, our little friend, the curly-leafed pondweed,
Sure.
is our continued efforts in Meadow Lake. That is an invasive species and one that we're applying herbicides in order to treat and try to remove from the water. So those efforts are ongoing. But we do consider this project a success and a quality improvement to the Meadow Lake area.
Continuing in Public Works, we teed it up a second ago. Let's get back to the streets and 2025 infrastructure project. Mayor, where are you headed this year?
We will be in the south central portion of the city. So that's going to be south of Gethsemane, but north of Northwood Park. And there's going to be two types of road reclamation and mill and overlay work done. A mill and overlay is where you take the top 2 to 3 inches of the roadway off, do subsurface repairs, and then reapply a new 2 to 3 inches on top of that. The reclaim is where you take all of the pavement off, get down to the gravel, do the repairs, the repacking, the patching, the repacking, and then putting all new asphalt in. Mm-hmm. And they will also be doing curb and gutter repairs necessary with both of those. That is greatly different than what we see with some roads with full reconstruction, where you take all the curb and gutter out, you take everything out. It can get down to the piping down below, and I mean, it can get to be 20 feet deep. Mm-hmm. So these are going to be much quicker, and these will serve as roads for many years to come.
Let's hop to some work that's going to happen that'll be very visible to all residents, and that's the South Water Tower. Mayor, give us a preview, and then Reece, you have a few numbers for us. What's the work going to be?
In 1990 was the last time that the South Water Tower was rehabbed or was painted. Mm-hmm. It's located at 2801 Hillsborough. And it's the one visible on 169 Medicine Lake Road. They will be sanding the inside and outside, making some repairs, and repainting it. And we will be having our newer logo put on it, so it will match the South Water Tower and, of course, the logo for the city.
And Reece, who does this work? Who does the city work with to get something like this done?
Sure, this is another partnership, Dave. The citizens in the city of New Hope receive their water through the Joint Water Commission. That's Crystal, New Hope, and Golden Valley. So actually, while we're monitoring the contract and first outlaying the dollars, it's a joint effort to pay the bill through the three cities. And so our partnership in providing that safe, quality drinking water through continued improvements of our infrastructure is very, very critical to the success and the health and welfare of our city. We see that this project lasted us 34 years when we painted this, and I have some breaking news today, and I know we didn't talk about that before we got here.
All right.
But the reality of it is our Beth Kramer in our communications department is going to be hosting a contest to guess how many gallons of paint it takes to paint the water tower.
I like it.
So be looking for that on our social media.
All right, go to the city's website to find out more. One final note in Public Works, we mentioned some of the partnerships related to the streets, and there's going to be a county project that will affect New Hope residents. Where is that?
That's right. It's going to be on West Broadway, so it's going to affect a couple of the cities in our area. There's still some moving parts to get this one off and running, but we see that the work is going to involve pavement improvements through milling and overlaying, as well as upgrades to comply with the Americans with Disability Act along the corridor. We did make some modifications to that area in stormwater structures in 2024, and it all serves to improve the roadway on West Broadway.
All right, next up in our work through the city here and the state of the city is Park and Recreation, not only the facilities, but also the operations. Mayor, give us a preview of this department, just an overview of all that they do.
Yeah. Boy, we don't have enough time for
Yes.
all that
Could
they
be
do.
a 2-hour program.
Correct. We have 18 parks in the city of New Hope. We're very proud of our parks. We also have over 200 acres of public green space that we're responsible for. This is something that sets New Hope apart. Every home in New Hope is usually less than a quarter mile away from a city park. And this is funded by the Park Infrastructure Fund. And so when we redo a park, residents in that area don't get assessed like they do in other cities. And these parks have been a place where people can bring their families. There's all sorts of different activities there. The playground equipment is on a very set rotation of when it needs to be replaced. And it really has just been a real jewel in the crown for New Hope.
Let's talk about one specific park that saw some activity last year. That was Northwood Park, and this is an opportunity to exercise with something that's built into the park.
Yes. We have long thought about putting exercise equipment in a park. And Northwood Park, in speaking with the residents, before we put park equipment in, we talk to the area residents, have a meeting with them and see what they would like. And there was a very warm reception to the idea of putting exercise equipment in. And there is a trail along that where people can go and do different fitness exercises on this equipment. We're excited to see it in place. Even more excited to see it getting used as much as it does.
Yeah, get out there and give it a try. Another park, Reece, in the city that you don't hear this too often in a developed city, the park grew. How did this happen and where is it?
It did. Lions Park, kind of in the heart of our city. We had an interesting situation out there that many years ago when the park was developed, one square lot on the northwest side of the park was actually a residential lot, and it was in our comprehensive plan for 2040 rather, and has been in there for a long time, that if that home ever came up for sale, the city would consider buying it, and we did. We were able to procure the property, raise the home. There was quite a Saturday morning out there when the fire department burned it down. It was visible from all the way across the park, and I could feel it from the south side of the park, but we did expand the park by the size of that lot. It's graded. The grass should be just about ready to start growing out there, and to be able to do that in a developed city like you mentioned, there just isn't much land left in New Hope. It was a really exciting opportunity for the council to do.
Well, many great facilities in the city that relate to the parks, and let's go through some of them. First is the ice arena. Reece, tell us about the activity there and just all of the fun that goes on year-round in that building.
Unbelievable, and it does happen year-round. We're actually right now finishing up painting the floor on the south rink. Those rinks for years have had to be dyed when the ice goes down in order to make them white. We now have applied a paint to make sure that we don't have to take the ice out as much, and it will last much longer. So it's a really good efficiency project to make sure that we manage the costs. And there's going to be a theme as I go through the next portion of Parks and Rec, and that is that we've had some banner years, banner year actually in 2024 for participation, which ultimately translates into a banner year for revenue. So the ice arena rented nearly 4,600 hours of ice time this year, and that resulted in the highest revenue year on record for ice rental. There was over 3,000 skaters to attend open skating, and that equated to 282 pairs of skates being rented. And in addition to that, we renewed our concession stand lease for another 3 years, as well as a new streaming service so that families can can watch the games that are going on up in the ice arena. 2025 improvements, like I mentioned, will include the painting of the South Rink floors, and we're going to be doing a little bit of updates to the concession stands.
All right, from the coolest spot in town to the hottest spot in town in the summer, that's the aquatic park. And again, some record numbers there as well, Reece.
Record numbers, and I just want to jump right to what we can expect in 2025. It's another little piece of breaking news. It's going to be open a week longer this year than it has been in the past. And I think that's going to be very well received by our residents that use the aquatic park. Last year we saw nearly 49,000 swimmers access the water park through water walking and also lap swimming. There was 88 teens and young adults. People don't often think of the aquatic park as an economic driver, but we employ a lot of seasonal workers there to make it work. And something that I'm very, very proud of for the staff of the Parks and Rec Department is they saw a 50% return year over year in that staff. And that's really huge, because we're talking about people that are in high school or young adults or maybe going to college, but they still come back to New Hope to work, and that's just a great thing. Swim lessons continue to be a popular offering in the aquatic park, and we had over 600 registrations for swim lessons. Honestly, we're doing that right now for 2025, and those go fast. So if you want to see your littlest swimmer get into those swim lessons, get up to City Hall quickly and get registered. As we prepare for 2025, we're going to open on May 31st, and like I mentioned, we'll be open a few more days, so we'll be open from June 5th to August 24th for the final stretch. There is a break in the middle of the summer for a weekend where we host a regional swim event, and that's very, very excited. The place is absolutely activated and packed. The parents come and they fill the park with tents, and there's some food options available, and teams from across the area come and compete at the aquatic park. So the last thing I'll say about that is annual passes are on sale now, so come on by City Hall and get yours.
All right, and for date reference, we're recording this in late March, so all this activity happening right at this time of the year in case you watch this throughout the year. But get out there and use the aquatic park. Also get out there and use the golf course, a real gem in the city. Give us some numbers, Reece, on the golf course last year.
We have an absolute postage stamp of a golf course that is probably one of the most beautiful places in New Hope. It really is striking as you pass by it on Bass Lake Road. We saw over 26,000 rounds of golf played in our short summer last year. However, we did open a little bit early. Last year we were open in the beginning of March, but I can announce today that we're opening on Monday. We're very excited. So by April 1st, and it's not a fib, the golf course will be open. We've also been doing a little bit of work out there, so we've been repaving and adding some cart paths. We also did some work on our watering system. The irrigation now waters the putting green. And I do have to put a plug into the citizens of New Hope. We have a request with the state legislature currently for some bonding money in order to redo the entirety of about a 40-year-old watering system out there. So our irrigation system needs some love, and we're working with our partners to see that happen.
Let's hop to one more facility in Park and Rec, and Mayor, that is the Entertainment or Performance Center right by City Hall. Again, give us an overview of some of the fun that was had last year and what might be coming up this year.
You bet. The City Council decided that we would do an investment into Civic Center Park, and part of that included our Performance Center. Whereas it only used to be used for the off-Broadway music theater, the decision was made that if we're going to be putting the money into this, we want to use it as much as we can. And so we saw expanded use over the last few years to include not only the off-Broadway musical theater, but 3 family movies in the park that we were very happy to receive over $3,000 in sponsorship to pay for those movies, as well as 7 different concerts in the park where different types of music open up to the public, and we had food trucks at some of those. Just great community events. We also held our Trunk or Treat program there, a safe alternative for kids to be able to come out and not only learn about the city, but as well as to get some candy.
Let's talk a little bit about the Emerald Ash Borer. Reece, you mentioned it earlier at the beginning, but this is a Park and Rec Department activity, and again, across department lines. Tell us what has happened in this past year, and again, a quick recap of what's coming up.
You bet. We have done an exhaustive inventory of all the trees on public lands. That includes parks, boulevards, the golf course, and we are making great headway on this. We're almost done. We're hoping that in 2025 we will be able to finish up with removal of the impacted ash trees. And so we've spent a great deal of money on getting this done for safety reasons as well as aesthetics. And so we continue to march forward with that this year.
One final note in Park and Rec that the city is very excited about. It's return of the farmers market. First, you have a few thoughts about the return because I know you were involved from the start.
Yeah, the farmers market ended up closing after 12 years. And after a 2-year hiatus, the residents were loud and clear that they wanted a farmers market. And that was one of my promises as mayor-elect, that that would be a priority. And through incredible staff work and input, we now have a farmers market that's going to be opening in 2025, albeit a different day and place. We are exceptionally excited.
Reece, you have some of those details. Where will it be and when will it be taking place?
We're very excited about another partnership, Dave. So alongside Highway 169 at the intersection of 42nd Avenue and Gettysburg sits New Hope Church. Our farmers market will be there every Thursday from June 5th to September 25th in their parking lot from 3 to 7 p.m. We're excited for the residents of New Hope. We're excited for passerbys that may see it and be able to come up and grab some great vegetables, awesome food that's going to be served there, and we also expect a few vendors. We're already up to 10 vegetable vendors and a few food trucks signed up. So we're a few months away, and our new seasonal coordinator who's working on this is their only responsibility, has just been doing a phenomenal job.
More information as you get ready for the first year of the new market, newhopemn.gov/farmers market. All right, next department we march to is public safety, and beginning with the police department. Mayor, give us a little overview of the work last year and what's coming up for this department.
As Chief Tim Hoyt stepped into this role, his cornerstone was community engagement, and he has led the charge to build bridges with all of our communities throughout the city of New Hope, as well as building a good culture within his own department. Many departments, as we've seen on media across the country, have had very serious staffing issues. The New Hope Police Department has at most been down 2 people, and that's usually due to retirements. It's a great testimony to the culture of the department, the morale, and the accepted and dedicated mission and values of everybody from the chief down to to everybody included in that department. And they continue to protect and serve. They continue to engage with the community in ways that our department never has before.
Couple special events that they have throughout the year, and one is Night to Unite, early August timeframe. Reece, tell us about the success of that program.
Such an exciting night. I know that I've seen a lot of the citizens of New Hope, and this is one of the ways that I've personally been able to get to know a lot of people. Over 50 parties were booked last year, and the nuance to that is if you get in early and you get a request in, you're going to get a special visit either from the police department, myself, or a council member that will come to your party, interact with the people in your neighborhood, and have a great conversation about New Hope. The department also hosts a very exciting event around the holidays called Blue Santa. We had one of the biggest ones to date this year. There was over 30 Santas and staff welcome children into City Hall, and we had food, games, face painting, and of course gifts. A huge shout out goes to a really good family in New Hope, the Eisenbergs, who also happens to be a council member, Mike Eisenberg. They hold an activity that they call Toy Fest every year, and folks from the community go to their home and donate toys for this event. Through that event and through other donations provided to the community, we wrapped over 500 gifts for families and distributed them during the holiday season.
Mayor, a little more on the police department. Wellness and technology. Tell us how those two things play a role in a successful department.
It is important that we're taking care of our officers to be in the right mindset as well as the right physical ability is going to ensure that they're providing the proper service to our residents as well as surviving a career in law enforcement. And this chief and administration has made wellness a priority, from workout facilities that the officers are able to go to, peer counseling, as well as the ability for them to anonymously be able to seek any counseling that they need to help address some of the horrific things that they see. And so the importance of officer wellness is more than just taking care of the officers, it's taking care of the community as well.
And technology in police. We often don't think of that, but that is a very key component and some strides made there.
Absolutely. As criminals get smarter, the police technology has to step up. We have budgeted and spent money for mobile surveillance trailers, speed trailers, messaging boards that we can get out at places of crisis to, whether it's divert traffic, get temporary messaging out that's important, and flock safety cameras. And these are cameras that will notify law enforcement if a stolen automobile drives by, or a car that's been reported stolen. The department has also embraced drone technology, and these have proven to be helpful in locating suspects that flee on foot, as well as, most importantly, missing youth or vulnerable adults. These drones do the work of many, many officers, and they're able to be deployed, and our officers have to go through additional training. We have a handful of additional officers that hold the license to be able to fly the drones. They're quite complicated as far as all the laws surrounding it, but the preservation of life and the use of these is paramount.
Reece, final note in public safety, the police department. How about some numbers? You keep track of numbers on a regular basis, don't you?
Yeah, I really want to say, Dave, that every single time a citizen calls 911, their call is the most important thing, okay? So, but at the end of the day, we do track that our officers responded to 21,753 calls for service in 2024. This was down by about 1,000 calls. However, that doesn't diminish the fact that they have an insurmountable workload. They're very busy, they do it very efficiently, and we couldn't be more proud of the men and women on our police department.
Continuing in public safety, let's move ahead to West Metro Fire Rescue District and give us an overview of, again, the firefighters and the work done in this department. Reece, tell us more about citizen firefighters.
I will. We have just a remarkable fire department that is provided to our community through another partnership, and that is with the City of Crystal through a joint powers agreement that created the West Metro Fire District. But it is only possible in the way that we understand it through our paid on-call program, which means that we are up to about 66 members of our community that all live within a 6-minute response window to their local fire department that agree to serve the community on that hybrid paid on-call volunteer basis. They are supplemented by 11 full-time personnel that work during the week, during the day, administering the department. They are there to support those other 66 members that quite frankly have other careers and other responsibilities in their day, but they do pick up some of the response load during the week and do go on calls for service as well. We were lucky enough during our recruitment period in 2024 to hire 13 more of those citizen firefighters. And I think that everybody that lives in Crystal and New Hope has seen the signs, and they really do work. People come out, they're excited to be engaged, and they're really excited to be a part of one of the premier fire departments in Minnesota, and we'll get to the reason that is in a little bit.
Talk about training. A key to success is all of these citizens need to be trained, and they are definitely trained in New Hope.
They do. They participate in the West Suburban Fire Academy. A lot of that is put on right there at the fire station in New Hope, and utilizes instructors from a number of departments as well as West Metro throughout our region. We partner with Maple Grove, Plymouth, and Golden Valley to see that happen.
Smart 911. It sounds great. It's a neat tool. Give us a little more of an idea of how it works.
Absolutely, and this is a crossover between all public safety. So the fire department and the police department use Smart 911. We got that launched, and what that does is it replaces our previous Code Red service. But when citizens sign up, and I know you'll tell them that information at the end here, they are in a pool of people that will receive notifications for various reasons. But ultimately, it gives first responders another tool in order to communicate with their community over what everybody carries in their pocket now, that smart device.
Funding is key to a police department, and there was a grant that helped out with some of the work they do. Tell us about that grant.
Yeah, the staffing at West Metro expanded by 3 this year. It was through a federal grant that's called SAFER, and that provides a large portion of the funding tiered over 3 years in order to bring on 3 more paid people. But what it really did was open another fire station during that day time period. So it was able to staff up a station in Crystal and provide a little bit more redundancy and breadth of service when it comes to what really is the busiest time of service delivery for the department.
One other note in the fire department that you might not think about is insurance, but it certainly is something the city thinks about. Tell us about insurance and how it plays a factor in the fire department.
Absolutely. Every home and every citizen in our community has homeowners insurance. And a lot of those insurance companies use a service called ISO that underwrites, provides guidance for the underwriting of the policy. That's on a point scale. And I'm proud to announce that this year the West Metro Fire District became an ISO Class 2 department. The highest you can be is 1. And the reason I bring that up is there's only 19 Class 2 departments in Minnesota, and there are currently 0 Class 1. So right now, on that matrix, West Metro Fire District, it provides the best possible service it can with the resources that it has.
Well, thanks to both of you for taking us on a walk through all the departments and a general overview of what's happening in the city in this past year and a look ahead. Mayor, a few closing comments again. Tell us about the state of the city and why people should look forward to a great 2025.
Thank you, Dave. The City Council, the city management team, and all of our city staff are truly committed public servants. I would like to thank my City Council, Councilmember Coriel, Jonathan London, Andy Hoff, and Michael Eisenberg for their commitment and dedication to providing direction for city staff. I would also like to call out all of our directors, all of our department heads who provide not only a great culture for their staff, but provide the support and the environment where people can excel, where people are supported, where people can truly give their best to the residents, visitors, and businesses of our city. Certainly want to thank city staff for the boots on the ground, for getting the job done in the manner in which they do. It's easy for us to sit up at the dais and take credit for how well things are going in the city, when in fact it really is city staff that's getting that job done. And a big hats off to the men and women of our police and fire departments for the incredible hard work that they're doing literally at all hours of the day and night. 911 calls are answered, emergencies are addressed, the partnerships are strong, and the residents really are the recipients of that dedication and hard work. And most of all, I would really like to thank the community that is engaged, the community that wants to be involved, the community that calls us or emails us, that wants to see things in the city. And New Hope truly is an incredible place to work, live, and play.
Well, thank you so much to the two of you for taking this time to take a look back at the last year and a look ahead at this next year. A lot of information passed along, and again, here are some contact points with the city. So if you want to find out more of some of the things that have happened in the past or what's coming up in the future, please do look there. Reece, John, thank you so much for your time and for being with us for the New Hope State of the City.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks.